I just skied glow. Sounds like a huge backcountry avalanche. Near Truckee today, period.
Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. All trustees are present. Karina, has the agenda been posted according to the Nevada Open Meeting Law? Yes, sir, it has. Thank you very much. Pledge of Allegiance. We have two students from Ms. Stanford's class, Ivory Maratita and Olive Carmichael. If you could please come up to the table here, and we'll click on that green button real quick on the mic. Are they going to talk on profile of a learner too? Both? Yes?
Yeah, they're going to talk about how they feel about what an effective communicator is.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. An effective communicator is someone who listens and uses their voice respectfully. Someone who shares their feelings.
Come on right up here and you get a certificate and get to pick out a treat, okay? Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Great job. Okay, moving on to number 5, public comment. Members of the public who speak are asked to state their name for the record. We'll be limited to a uniform number of minutes. Tonight the minutes is 3. Board members may respond briefly to public comments, but cannot deliberate on matters that are not listed on the agenda. For matters on the agenda, the board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda action item, but before the board takes any action. A summary of public comments will be noted in the minutes. So if your item is an action item on the agenda, you will come up public comments during that time, unless you have a public comment that's not on the agenda or you have to leave sooner than that because you have some other commitment before that agenda item. So I will now open it for any public comments if anybody'd like to come up. Please state your name for the record, won't you? It's just a quick tap on the mic too.
Rayanne Sorensen. Mine is in regards to the agenda item, but I do have to go to work tonight at the hospital, so. I am here to offer my full and wholehearted support for Coach Tristan Johnson and to respectfully urge the board to retain her as the CCHS head volleyball coach. Over the past several years, our family has had the privilege of experiencing Coach Johnson's leadership firsthand. With one daughter competing at the varsity level and another at the JV level, we have seen the countless hours, personal sacrifices, and unwavering commitment she dedicates to these athletes. From regular season practices to off-season spring and summer league tournaments, including travel to Reno, Coach Johnson consistently gave her time, expertise, without expectation of compensation, simply because she believes in developing these young women to their fullest potential. Coach Johnson leads with integrity, structure, and accountability. She sets clear expectations from the start and holds her athletes to a high standard, not through intimidation or belittlement, but through teaching, correction, and encouragement. When mistakes happen, she uses them as learning opportunities. She explains what they did wrong, demonstrates how to improve, and challenges her players to grow. That approach builds confidence, resilience, and trust. In every interaction I have had with her, she has been professional, consistent, and transparent. Communication has always been clear, direct, and respectful. I have never witnessed behavior that was inappropriate or unfair. Instead, I have seen a coach who cares deeply about her athletes and about maintaining the integrity of the CCHS volleyball program. Beyond competition, Coach Johnson emphasizes character and community involvement. Through fundraising efforts, the team has raised thousands of dollars for important causes such as the Northern Nevada Children's Cancer Foundation and Churchill Community Hospital Foundation. These efforts reflect her belief that athletics should shape not only strong players, but compassionate and responsible young women who understand teamwork, discipline, and service. Most importantly, she treats her athletes with fairness and respect. She challenges them, holds them accountable, and expects their best, while also genuinely caring about their growth as individuals. That balance is not easy to achieve, but Coach Johnson does so consistently. For a small-town program, having a coach with her level of knowledge, dedication, and investment is invaluable. Replacing her experience and leadership would be difficult, and the program would undoubtedly feel the loss. Stability and strong leadership are critical for the continued success and growth of our volleyball program. For the sake of our athletes and the broader community, I respectfully ask the board to retain Coach Tristan Johnson. Our students deserve a coach who is committed, principled, and fully invested in their success, both on and off the court. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you very much. Is there any other public comment for items not on the agenda or somebody that has to leave before we get to this? Give a quick tap to the button right there, the red button. Just a quick tap on it. Wait till it turns green, just go. Thank you.
My name is Layla Walker. Good evening. My name is Layla Walker, and I'm here today as a student athlete to speak in support of Coach Tristan Johnson. I am a junior at CCHS and have been part of the varsity volleyball program for 3 years. Tristan Johnson has been my coach since I was in middle school, and I have learned many things from her that are more than just volleyball skills. She has taught me how to be a respectful person and how to work well with others. This year in volleyball, our team had a great chemistry. No one was put down or was disrespectful to others, and this all started with Tristan. Tristan has passed down her knowledge to me and has helped me be successful. Her honesty has made me a stronger, mentally tougher, and even more competitive athlete. I have played for many coaches, and Tristan is by far my best. She has made me love the sport of volleyball even more than any other. She supports me and has always cared so much about me. Tristan is a passionate, dedicated, hardworking, and big-hearted person. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Items not on the agenda, or they absolutely have to leave? Okay, then we will move on to number 6, review and adoption of agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as posted.
I have a motion by Trustee Whitaker, a second by Trustee McFadden. Is there any public comment on the posting of the agenda? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? It is unanimous. Number 7, superintendent update. A, Churchill County High School student representative of the board will report on high school's current events. Valeria Casillas Ibarra.
Here are some things that you may not know about. Recently, for our sports team, there have been many celebrations. Our girls basketball made it to the semifinals. This Friday, they will go against Boulder City, and if all goes well, Saturday they would go to the state final game. In wrestling, Carson Melendi made a second four-time state champion in CCHS history. There was also a second place earned and 3 fourth place finishers. The wrestling team also received second place academic state champions. A blood drive was held at the school on February 17th, 2026. For previous and upcoming events, I would like to share that our school's cheerleaders are competing in Las Vegas in a national competition. On February 3rd, 205 students took the ASVAB testing. The highest score was 97. On February 24th, our school will be taking the ACT testing. Later this month, on February 28th, it will be Junior Prom. The theme this year is A Night in the Bayou. A previous event that I would like to expand on will be the Navy Strike Group coming to our school. This event was organized by the Navy Strike Group via the ROTC program. It consisted of 2 cubes. One was the Seek Challenge. This was a simulator of a submarine icebreaker mission. The second cube was Train. This cube was designed to test strength in a series of Navy workouts. A third station was an all-hands virtual reality recreation of the flight deck of the USS Gerald R. Ford. It is the newest aircraft that they have. Along with this, they also had a recruiting and registration station. While going through different stations, patches could be earned. In total, there were 350 students that participated, about 35% of the school. The staff from the strike group were excited from the amount of support that was shown through the students at CCHS.
Thank you very much. Great report. Any questions for Valerie? Okay, thank you. Great job. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to B, latest student enrollment data will be provided to the board. There's a written report. Any questions? C, human resources update, written report. Any questions for Cameron? Okay, D, principals reports. They all had written reports provided. Any questions for the principal?
Yeah, I just had a question for Principal Melindy and Principal Barton. The first thing is with LaHontan Elementary School. I basically just wanted to ask about the focus files and your professional development. I think that sounds like a really cool, creative thing involving the staff as far as selection of topics. Can you just expand on that a little bit?
Last summer, Katie Loop, our literacy coordinator, and I had gone to a conference, and they did these target tubs for kids. And I'm like, Katie and I were talking, I said, this is something that would be great for teachers. They get to choose what they need more professional development on, and then they can pick throughout each month what they want to do. So with the great help of Katie, we sat down, we started putting these tubs together. Well, really, now they're not tubs. We have files, so they're focus files. So we kind of moved it into the technology. So now what the teachers do for professional development, they meet with me monthly. So I meet with each teacher, and we talk about, I've been in their classrooms, what they need to, what do you want to do? I see you're doing great with this. And then so they get to pick what their professional development is. And then on top of that, the other thing that we do is I'm like, you have so much expertise in this area, why don't you go in here, and then we have them add resources. So it's a evolving focus files. So that's what we're doing for professional development.
I love that. Thank you so much. That sounds like a wonderful thing to involve staff and get their input more on what they want to learn about or what they need more help with. So thank you. And then my next question is kind of for both of you. In reviewing the reports, when the behavior trends are mentioned, I know following like the Christmas break and things like that, you know, students kind of settled back in after a long period of time off. Sometimes behavioral issues can spike up after a period of time being away from school while kids readjust to back in school. And while the data that we all get is broken down kind of like monthly, I'm just curious, you guys as administrators, if you tend to notice those spikes occurring as well, not only after like a large break like the Christmas break, but when we have like 4-day weekends, for example, you tend to see kind of spikes in behavioral trouble after coming back from a longer weekend.
I'm going to tell you, today we had an incredible day. So knock on wood that we continue tomorrow. So after the 4 days, we only had one child that kind of had a little bit of a meltdown. But he usually has meltdowns continuously. But it wasn't behavior. It's just more emotional that we have to deal with. And it just all depends. It really depends on what they're facing at home, right? So depends on if something happened over the weekend. But when there's longer breaks, we have to come back and we have to share the expectations again with them. But so yes. Hi again. Okay, let me.
That's an interesting question because we think about those things all the time as well, and we determine that it's a couple kids that it might affect. So we try to find a way to support those kids, but it's hard to tell what event is triggering the behaviors of certain kids. So you'd have to really fine tune that data a little bit. I think full moons are the biggest effect on.
And the weather.
The weather
If
and
it's
the full
windy,
moon, yeah.
we're in trouble.
Yeah, but traditionally this time of year, February, March, is stress is high for teachers and kids are
Thank you. And, it was good to see the growth at ECDF.
Anybody else have questions for the principals? Just want to say great job. Great positive things going on, positive reinforcement. Appreciate it. Moving on to superintendent update. Any questions on his written report? Okay, then going on to update regarding district-related matters. Superintendent Parsons.
All right, thank you. So I'm going about this a little bit differently tonight. If you're listening to me, we have some students and teachers here from the high school. If you've been to the high school recently, you've noticed that the grass at the front area by the main building is no longer there, and it's being changed, and that's a project is CTE month this month. And so we're trying to recognize and see some of the things that we're doing with our CTE. So they're going to share a few things with you about what they're doing with that sandy area now instead of grassy. Mr. Holt, Ms. Salmon?
Hi, my name is Emmy Allen, and I'm a senior in Ms. Salmon's Plant Systems class. First, I want to thank Mr. Holt for making this program that I was able to use to make my design. I also want to thank Ms. Salmons for encouraging me to pursue this area of interest, and Mr. Spencer for allowing this project to happen. I'll be showing you guys my design that I made for the front of the school. The plant boxes that I put in here are for the culinary class to use for different plants they can use for cooking, like herbs and vegetables. We would also love to have the concrete walkways to make it handicapped accessible because it's important for everyone to be able to enjoy it. I created mine with the table in the back corner, so it's more secluded and allowing it for people to enjoy the view of the landscape. One thing we plan on adding is lights in the school colors over the trees on the back wall that one of my classmates designed. This area is important for the whole school community to give them a special spot that they can to relax, take pictures for events, and just add a space that feels more inviting and not so bland. This area would become especially important to the students to give them something they feel ownership over. It would give the plant systems classes the chance to have a working space to use besides just the greenhouses, and just a more real world experience because all the plants in this design would be grown by those classes. Some of the designs in there, like the plants along the sidewalks, would be like native plants to Nevada. The brick wall up in the top planting box would be like a metal gurkha made by the welding class. And if possible, with like the funding and the water systems, we would like to put like a mini model of the Main Street fountain in the bottom corner. This area would be maintained by the plant systems classes using low maintenance plants, which will also be native and drought tolerant. Another option would be to start a horticulture club, which would get more student body involved, and they would help maintain it. Another option would be to try to bring in community members needing volunteer hours that are trying to get their master gardening certification. Thank you for allowing me to present this to you. This is meaningful to me because I plan to go to school to do the landscaping design as a career.
That is totally awesome. Anybody have any questions or?
Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for the instructors who see the vision and run with it with their students. Years ago, we when we were discussing the desire for students to participate more fully in the experiences, and having that as a learning experience, it seemed to stop short of students coming in telling us what they wanted, but then there was no action. And so what I'm seeing here is engagement that is part of our project or portrait of a learner, but it takes the support of instructors who are willing to support students in that way. I did have a question. You did touch on it just a little bit about those who would possibly help maintain it. Things shift, classes change at the high school. I know you mentioned with a Master Gardener class. Have you thought, are there any concerns about what happens if those classes aren't available anymore to help maintain it? Has there been any discussion with maintenance and grounds?
There hasn't been a lot, but the master gardening would be more like,
Thank you. It's a great question. So master gardeners around the community take a series of classes, and to maintain their certification, they are required to have a certain amount of volunteer hours. So we're collecting those people and space, hopefully then to help maintain it over the summer when we don't have students, or the breaks and holidays and things like that. And again, the students have really chose some low maintenance plants, so they won't require the amount of maintenance. Important things. I think hopefully somebody will adopt it at some point if I'm not here. Or they give me the keys so that I can take it. It's an important place, and I think if we think of it as in terms of the same way that we would think of a welding table, pottery wheel, it's a working space. It's something that's going to take some effort, but it also is an important part of our program, and then extra volunteer club. We're giving thought to it, I guess, is the old.
Thank you.
Do you have any plans to have like an informational plaque like you see at parks and stuff explaining the student-led initiative? That way, in a few years down the road, your vision isn't lost and the students can see that and keep it going.
Great question as well. Plant Systems was awarded a grant recently from the Nevada Department of Forestry, and in that grant, the requirements state that each tree has to have a plaque. So we're there. We just have to find the right plaques. These are pollinator gardens. These are pollinator garden plants. These are agricultural crops. They want to do some alfalfa and things like that, just as a demonstration. And maybe these are our vegetable crops. Yes, definitely.
Anybody else have any questions? I just want to thank you so much. I'm excited to finally get to see it done. It'll be great. Make the high schools look totally different. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, that's awesome. That's it.
That's all you have tonight? Okay, then we will move on to number 8. Closed session for discussion and possible action to go into closed session. The board will go in pursuant to NRS 241.030 to hear an appeal under policy 4138, complaints concerning school.
President Malkovich, I think there's, Mr. Holt just tapped my shoulder. There's one more report.
Oh, sorry. He said he was done. I was excited.
Hello, my name is Hannah Hanks, and this weekend I went with the TSA competition in Las Vegas, and this is the game that I presented, I've been working on this game for over a couple months now, starting in September. And this is the first game that I've coded, and I think I've come really far since this is my 3rd year in game development, and this is just my 1st year of coding.
The competition required Hannah to have a portfolio with a complete outline of all of the hours she spent. Tom, if you could go to that first tab all the way to the left. He's having too much fun playing the game, sorry. It also required her to create a YouTube video where she describes the game and shows the code and explains the code. Submitted online in advance of the competition. Then upon arrival, the competition, Hannah was required to have a one-on-one interview with a judge while they played the game and read over her materials that she used to document everything for her game. And the game design competition was the most competitive event at this one. All the other competitive events included probably 2 or 3 teams or entries, where there were over 8 that I counted, and there may have been more. It was very, very competitive. And Hannah was competing alone against other schools where they have a minimum of 4 full-time computer science teachers. In high school, we have basically myself and 1 other part-time computer science teacher. So it's a really hard competition, but Hannah entered and she did extremely well, and she made our school proud.
Thank you, that's awesome. Thank you.
No questions? Okay.
You have one? You got it? No? Okay, is there more? I want to start talking before I... I think we're good now. Are we good now? Okay, I'll give that a take 2 then. Number 8, closed session. For discussion of possible action to go into closed session. The board will go into closed session pursuant to NRS 241.030 to hear an appeal under policy 4138, complaints concerning school personnel regarding alleged misconduct of volleyball coach Tristan Johnson. I have a motion to go into closed session.
President Malkovich, I move that we go into closed session.
Okay, I have a motion by trustee Guerrero-Getch, and I have a second by trustee Blakey. Any public discussion on going into closed session?
President Malkovich,
Yes.
I need to disclose.
Okay.
Pursuant to NRS 281A.420, I am disclosing a conflict of interest regarding the review of Tristan Johnson's competency, conduct, and character. Tristan Johnson is my niece. The public policy of Nevada favors the right of a public officer to perform voting duties unless there is a clear conflict of interest. Ms. Johnson and I are not particularly close, and I do not believe this is a clear conflict of interest. Therefore, I believe that the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my situation would not be impacted by the relationship. While I am making this disclosure for the public record, I intend to participate in the discussion and to vote on the matter.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else before we go for a vote? All in favor of going into closed session? It is unanimous. Make sure you turn off your microphones. Okay, I'd like to reconvene this meeting. Moving on to number 10, new items. A, for discussion and possible action, the board may take action to uphold Superintendent Parsons' decision in response to the complaint brought under policy 4138, complaints concerning school personnel regarding alleged misconduct of volleyball coach Tristan Johnson, or take administrative action against Ms. Johnson, or give direction to staff regarding Ms. Johnson's work as a volleyball coach. Go ahead.
At the advice of our attorney, I am going to read my disclosure statement again. Pursuant to NRS 281A.420, I am disclosing a conflict of interest regarding the review of Tristan Johnson's competency, conduct, and character. Tristan Johnson is my niece. The public policy of Nevada favors the right of a public officer to perform voting duties unless there is a clear conflict of interest. Ms. Johnson and I are not particularly close, and I do not believe this is a clear conflict of interest. Therefore, I believe that the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my situation would not be impacted by the relationship. While I am making this disclosure for the public record, I intend to participate in the discussion and to vote on this matter.
Thank you. Charlotte, would you like to give some of the legal aspects?
Yes. I want to give some general parameters and some information to the public. So the open meeting law requires that all actions of a public body be made in open, and all deliberations of a public body be done in open meeting. So in the closed session, the board talked about some details that are allowed to be confidential by law. And they are not going to talk about those details in open meeting because they are going to keep those details confidential. However, I want to assure you that they haven't discussed what they're going to do. They did no deliberations in our closed session. They just really looked closely at the facts of the situation and tried to understand it. So just for your information and as a reminder to the board is going to keep those confidential specific facts confidential in their discussion here.
Okay, thank you. Looking at this item, it has nobody listed as a presenter, so I think that kind of falls back on me, obviously. So at this point, I'd open up for discussion or a motion or whichever direction we'd like to go here.
I make a motion to support Superintendent Parsons' decision on this matter.
We have a motion by Trustee McFadden, a second by Trustee Bullock. Is there any board discussion before I open it up to public comment? Okay, members of the public, if you'd like to say anything on this, you will have a time limit of 3 minutes. Please keep it professional. We're not doing name calling or any of that. So if somebody would like to come to the mic, just come up and state your full name for the record if you'd like to talk. Thank you.
Okay, hello, my name is Daleen Starr. I'm mother to Paisley Starr. She's going to speak for her. I do have something brief, but I will say, nowhere did I come in, I was under the impression that I was coming in to fire Jim Johnson. I want you to hear our side of the story of my child being cut and what she was told and how she was felt. The school board members, my name is Daleen Starr. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I am here as a parent to address serious concerns regarding the handling of the recent volleyball team cuts and the conduct and communication demonstrated by the coach involved. I want to be very clear. I truly understand that cuts are part of athletics. Not every athlete will make every team, and those decisions are never easy. However, what is not acceptable is the manner in which these cuts were handled and the unprofessional and discouraging comments that were made to my daughter. My daughter was told that her height was not meant for her program. Statements like this are discouraging and, in my opinion, not professional or constructive for a young athlete who is still growing both physically and emotionally. Our students look to coaches not only for athletic instruction, but for encouragement, development, and guidance. Feedback should be inspired growth, not make a child feel limited or defined by something beyond their control. Additional, there appeared to be little effort to work with or develop some of the athletes on the individual level. Student athletes deserve to feel that they were given a fair opportunity to learn, improve, and be supported regardless of the final outcome of a team placement. Another statement that was made to my daughter was, "I can't guarantee the outcome won't be the same if you try out again next year." While honesty is important, comments that suggest a predetermined outcome discourage students from continuing to work hard and improve. Our school's program should motivate students to grow, not make them feel that their future effort will not matter. I am asking the board to take these considerations seriously. This is not about playing time or roster spots. It's about how children are treated, how they are spoken to, and the expectations we set for those placed in leadership roles over our students. I share these concerns not out of anger, but out of hope. Hope that we continue to build the athletic program that reflects the values our school stands for. Coaches hold tremendous influence over students' confidence and experiences. Constructive communication, mentorship, and professionalism just as important as wins as loss. My goal in speaking today is to encourage, reflect, and improvement so that all student athletes feel respected, supported, and valued, whether they make the team or not. Every child deserves to walk away from a tryout feeling motivated to grow, not discouraged from trying again. Our athletes deserve coaches who communicate with professionalism, foster respect among teammates, and encourage every student to continue striving regardless of the outcome. I hope this situation can lead to reflect accountability and positive change that no other student athlete walks away from a school feeling diminished rather than supported. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Paisley Starr. I'm currently a sophomore student at CCHS, and I'm one of the athletes who was cut from the CCHS volleyball team. I'm here today because volleyball is not just a sport to me, it's something I truly love. I played all through intermediate school, and I also played on the CCHS freshman volleyball team as a freshman. It has always been a place where I felt confident, motivated, and a part of something bigger than myself. I understand that tryouts mean that some athletes will be cut. I knew that going in, and I was prepared to accept the outcome. What I was not prepared for was how I would be spoken to and how deeply those words would affect me from the head CCHS volleyball coach. During tryouts, I tried my hardest to learn what was expected and to show that I was willing to work and improve. I hoped for guidance or feedback on how to get better, but I never felt like I was given that opportunity from the head volleyball coach. When I was told that I was cut, I also told that my height was not suitable for her program. Hearing that was heartbreaking because it is something I cannot control. In that moment, I didn't just feel like I didn't make the team, I felt like I didn't matter as an athlete. Those words made me second guess my ability and question whether I had potential, even though I have worked hard and loved this sport for years. I was also told that she can't guarantee the outcome won't be the same if I tried out again next year. Instead of leaving that conversation feeling motivated to improve, I walked away feeling defeated and unsure to myself. As a student, you look up to coaches for encouragement, and when you hear words that make you feel like your future is already decided, it can take away the confidence you once had. What hurts most, as much as the cut itself, it was happened afterward. Gossip and things that were said, including by the coach's daughter, caused friendships to change and even end. I lost close friends that I have had since elementary school. I know teenage girls can sometimes be mean, but it is incredibly painful to feel isolated, but because of something connected to a school sport that meant so much to me. I'm not standing here asking for a spot on the team. I'm here because I want adults to understand how powerful their words are and how much their actions can affect a student's confidence, friendship, and love for a sport. Students need coaches who challenge them, guide them, and believe in them ability to grow even when they don't make the team. I still love volleyball and I still want to keep trying, but I hope in treats by sharing my experience.
Okay, thank you. Your time's up.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment?
My name is Leah Williams. As one of Tristan's former volleyball players, I feel it's important to speak in support of Tristan Johnson concerning her position as head coach of the Churchill County volleyball program. I sincerely believe that Tristan is one of the best coaches to have coached this volleyball program. Throughout my athletic career, she's been the only coach who has made me want to stay in this sport. Her knowledge and understanding of volleyball is unlike anything I've experienced before. Her willingness to work with players who care and want to improve, both during the season and off season, set her apart from any coach I've ever had. She never makes you feel incapable or embarrassed when correcting form or teaching a new skill, but at the same time, she's honest and direct with her players. While feedback can sometimes feel tough, it's never ill-intended. As I know from an experienced player, she truly cares for her athletes. This year, I suffered a season-ending injury, and what should have been one of the worst years was honestly one of my best. After my season-ending injury, she showed me nothing but love and compassion I've never felt, as if I wasn't a part of the team, and her support means so much to me. She's very open-minded and approachable, and will listen whether it's about volleyball or it's personal. With that being said, I strongly believe that these qualities make her the best fitting coach for this program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment?
My name is Cadence Weismer. I came here today to express my full support for Coach Tristan Johnson during this difficult situation. I played volleyball under Coach Johnson, 7th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade, and I believe that is important for you to hear directly from athletes who have experienced her coaching firsthand. Yes, she does hold us to high standards, but those standards focus on effort, attitude, and energy. Any feedback she gives us is meant to help us grow as athletes, teammates, and individuals, never tear us down. What stands out most about Coach Johnson is how she genuinely cares about her players, each individually. She shows up for us, she supports us, and wants to see us succeed not only in games, but as people. She creates an environment where we are challenged, but while we are still feeling supported and motivated to be our best. Coach Johnson also gives her time to help us improve. She holds summer workouts, attends spring and summer tournaments, and puts in countless hours outside of the season to benefit us as players. She does this even during her own time off and truly cares about our growth and success. Losing Coach Johnson would be a major loss for our program. She is a strong leader, a dedicated coach, a positive role model for young athletes, and I respectfully ask that you consider the voices of players who have been directly impacted by her coaching and recognize the positive influence she has had on us, many of us. Thank you for your time in considering my perspective.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment?
Mr. President,
Yes.
just for the public knowledge, I would like to clarify that superintendent's recommendation is we have identified issues throughout this process, but it is to retain Ms. Johnson as coach.
Thank you. That's a good point. Any other public comment?
We're voting to keep Ms. Johnson as coach.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, is there any more board discussion? Are you ready to call for a vote here?
I just have a question. Is there any way, is it appropriate for us to have Mr. Walker, explain a little bit of the changes that will be made? Some of the policies or things that'll be...
For the record, Mike Walker, Assistant Superintendent. The high school has worked with their coaches and enhanced the feedback process for student athletes, where coaches will be able to meet with students who try out for sports if they don't make the team and give them suggestions for improvement and feedback on how the determination was made. And then one of the other areas that we identified that needs to be shored up is that when administrators, coaches meet with parents, that we also follow that up with a written response so that there is a record of that conversation as well as communication shared with families of what the next steps are going forward.
Thank you. One more chance at any public comment? Any other board comments?
A lot has been said, a lot has been claimed, a lot of feelings have been shared and perspectives. And I especially want to address this to the young women who've shared differing points of view. Be kind to one another. Whether you've made a team or whether you haven't, we need to recognize and be kind to one another moving forward in our responses to what happens.
Thank you. Well said. Anybody else from the board have anything? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, and I'm going to go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate. It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you guys, public spoke, and thank you guys for coming out tonight. We have a 2-hour delay tomorrow, is that right, Mr. Parsons?
Yes, we just said. So,
I guess it's
those
snowing
of you
pretty good out
at
there.
home, please drive safely, be careful out there, it's very slick, there's ice under the snow, there've been several spin-outs, so we just sent out a 2-hour delay for tomorrow for school, so don't show up your regular time. But that also means for the board that we'll have to reschedule the CTE visits.
I'm going to go ahead and keep moving if everybody's all right with that. All right, business services update, budget to actual report, written report provided. Any questions on that? Okay, business service update, written report provided. Any questions of Amanda on that? Upcoming board events, there are several coming up. I have one this Saturday. Any questions on the upcoming board events? Consent agenda. For possible action, items may be pulled for discussion. A, approval of recommended personnel action. B, approval of vouchers. C, approval of January 2026 payroll. D, approval of January 13th, 2026 regular board meeting minutes. I would like to pull A. We have, I think Joe has a kid on there, and also we have Austin.
Correct, but before we go any further, Ms. Hammond does have something.
She has some? Okay, thank you.
Just really quickly on the budget to actual report, the FY 26 working column is from the final FY 26 budget. It should be the augmented, but I didn't know how to do that yet, but I do now. So next month will reflect the December augmented budget. So that's why we're over budget in some of those expenditure items. I just wanted you to be aware.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Amanda on that? Okay, so they're going back to consent agenda. We have METs on there to be consent agenda. Then we were talking about the contract later on, so I think we need to move that to the end when we're talking about the contract. That'll also be for approval of the job. I don't think we need to approve the job now when we don't have a contract till the end. And then I believe that Trustee McFadden, didn't you have some on personnel? You have your son or something?
Correct. I need to disclose that I have a conflict of interest with consent agenda item A. Colby McFadden, who is my son, is on the personnel action list. Therefore, I conclude that the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my situation would be materially affected by this relationship, and because this is a clear case of disqualifying conflict of interest, I will be abstaining from voting for the approval of the recommended personnel action.
Okay, so let's maybe just do A first, and then we will go through with B, C, and D.
Move to approve action item, consent agenda item 13A.
And let's make sure you mention we're taking, Austin Metz off of there. Now,
Are we?
because we will hit him later in the agenda. He will be.
Oh. So move to approve consent agenda item 13A with removal of Austin Metz.
Okay, perfect. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by trustee Ghetto. Any board discussion? Any public? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of action item A? Okay, we have 6 and 1 abstention. Now let's do B, C, and D, please.
Move to approve consent agenda items 13B, C, and D.
We will have to come back to A to approve, no, we don't. He abstained. We're good. Okay, so B, C, and D. Thank you. And we have a second by trustee Ghetto. Any public comment on items B, C, and D? Seeing none, call for a vote. All in favor? It is unanimous. Reports by board members. Let's start at the far end with trustee McFadden.
I was going to say I was excited to visit the high school for the CTE presentation tomorrow, but that is no longer happening, it seems like.
Can I add that Mr. Spencer's not very happy that I decided to delay school, you know?
Other than that, NASB had their delegate meeting a few weeks ago, and a few items to share with the board is the 2025 annual conference did show strong written and verbal feedback about positive results, and that next year the conference will be in Vegas. There was a draft amendment proposing that past presidents be allowed to continue contributing to NASB in advisory capacity even after leaving the association as an official trustee due to various circumstances. Rick and the delegates agreed that this needed some refining, so bring back some additional feedback and revisions. Then we had a really good presentation by Tom Hendricks and Julie Bumgardner from Lyon County, and they presented a proposal allowing high school students to choose an assessment aligned with their post-secondary plans rather than requiring the ACT for graduation. They plan to bring this proposal to NAS as well as the State Board of Education to get some traction. And that allowed for the ASVAB and the keys. Yeah, it's the ACT keys.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Whitaker.
I've submitted 2 reports that are in the board book for my board report. I just wanted to highlight something that I didn't put in for the Advocacy Institute. A lot of discussion about the priorities which are listed, a lot of discussion. The NSBA has produced one-pagers about each of those. So I will send those to Karina so she can share with you NSBA's positions, and they're great for information and the priorities. And that one of the keynotes was Amanda Ripley, who's is known for what she calls good conflict, and has written a book, and I wrote that note somewhere that now I can't find with all of my notes from everything else today. The book is, the main title is High Conflict, but she was excellent. It was about conflict resolution. And so I have a copy of that book, and maybe eventually I'll share a report on what I learned in that when I'm done with the metrics subcommittee meeting. Did have another one of those last week, and so I'll submit a report for our next board meeting for that meeting as well.
Thank you very much. Trustee Ghetto.
I was going to say the same thing about our field trip tomorrow. I was looking forward to it. But I don't know if everybody saw their little hearts. I did go to Northside for the pancake breakfast. It's always great. Lots of parents. It was a good turnout. Parents and siblings and
a lot of fun.
Blakey?
Yeah, I've attended the regional wrestling tournament that we hosted. Our facility is fantastic. Our staff did a good job. Wendy's part of that, and she does a great job. I also attended the Navy rock band concert that was at the high school, and it was phenomenal. And I think the coolest thing that I got to see is the kids were extremely engaged. They clapped, they cheered, they sang. They just seemed like that they enjoyed every moment of it, and that was really fun to see. We had a budget meeting that I attended, and the sites went over like with their wish list for the new upcoming year. And then I just wanted to wish our varsity girls basketball team good luck at state.
We've lost Wi-Fi for a minute, so just... We won't be able to get those keys. Keep moving. Okay, we're going to go ahead and keep moving.
Just at the end of last month, I attended, NASB workshop on conflict resolution. Ian. Like, you didn't mention it, but yeah, so, and also Trustee Bullock were in there too, so that was good information, and definitely, as always, real interesting to hear examples from other districts and watch YouTube videos and things of conduct that goes on in other school districts around the nation, and makes me really appreciate all of you so much.
Thank you. Trustee Bullock?
I don't know if you guys want to hear about what I've been doing, really. I've spent countless hours in, what I like to call a wrestling gym. So I know that some of you guys call it like maybe a basketball court or something along that line, maybe a rodeo arena. I like to call them a wrestling gym. So I was fortunate enough, not only for the youth side of things, to pair all of these tournaments the last, I don't know, it seems like a year. How long, McFadden? 6 months? But I was able to pair the regional tournament here at our high school, which was very successful, and to watch our high school kids just cheer each other on, and the people in the stands. You know, we did it under just the one light, and it was just amazing. If you guys have never been, you should come. And then I was fortunate enough to go to Winnemucca and pair the state tournament, where, again, we had several placers that came right out of Fallon. So that was exciting, and it shall continue. I have a few more on my list. And for me, that is my life right now for a few more weeks. So thank you for giving me all those opportunities to do those things.
Thank you. So NIAA, we realigned back to our original realignment after Gorman threatened to sue us, so we're back to the original realignment where we were. As of now, Truckee is still going to be a part of ours for another year, probably 2. I went to some regional basketball. It's kind of cool to see the girls win. This Saturday, they will be in state in Fernley. I'm going to be at a board president's workshop in Vegas. So if somebody happens to go to the basketball, if they'd please text me at least what's kind of happening. So when I'm on the south end of the state, I will actually know what's going on up north. And that's about what my life has been there. Not quite as exciting as your wrestling matches, right? Okay, so moving on to old business. Are we going to be able to get Keith?
Yes.
We got him? Okay.
Just update the board. There's some issues with the Wi-Fi, so your devices may or may not connect right, but he's hooked through the Ethernet, so we're good. So we're still broadcasting, everything's still going, so your devices may not work quite right, but seem to be back up.
Then moving on to A, for discussion and possible action, the board may receive information and an update regarding the superintendent search and may take action to provide direction or feedback to the superintendent search consultants on any aspect of the superintendent search. Keith Lewis.
Good evening from warmer Phoenix, Arizona. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to start off just a quick update for you. The deadline for applications has come and gone on February 14th. We have 13 candidates for the position, still interested in the position. And at this point in the process, we are now conducting screening interviews with obviously the goal to bring 5 finalists before you on March 3rd. So currently of those 13, we've conducted 5 screening interviews, and we will conduct the other 8. They're all scheduled to be concluded no later than February 24th, with the understanding that we have to post the agenda for that March 3rd meeting on the 26th of February. So we're on schedule for all of that. Any questions of that first part in terms of our update?
Anybody have any questions? Nope, I'm not seeing any on this end.
Okay. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jensen. He's going to go through the stakeholder survey results with all of you so you can see what your constituents had to say. Mr. Jensen?
All right. Good evening, members of the Board of Trustees and those that are present for this meeting. I'm hoping that you have a copy of the survey results. I believe that has been provided to you. I'm not able to share my screen, so if you can follow along, I'll hit the highlights from each of those slides. So as we start with the title slide, slide number 1, this was gathered from Churchill County community members in January of 26. And the results were intended to define leadership profile and priorities that the community sees as essential for the next superintendent. Moving on to the second slide, this is the survey overview. The survey focused on what are the desired qualities, experiences, priorities, and leadership approaches that are desirable for the next superintendent. And over that 2-week period, we obtained a broad cross-section of community stakeholders. On slide 3, we had 138 parents and guardians respond and 115 district employees. Those two made up the largest group of respondents, showing strong engagement from those closest to the students in Churchill County. In addition, community members, students, business, civic partners, and other respondents did add additional perspective to the data set. On slide 4, the question that was asked of the stakeholders was, what are the top priorities that they would like to see of the superintendent during their first 2 to 3 years? And what we've done is we've highlighted the 4 highest responses. And what we got is that those 4 highest priorities were around staff recruitment and retention, academic achievement, financial stability, and school safety, student well-being. What this told us is that the community is focused on stabilizing the workforce, improving outcomes, and ensuring fiscal health while ensuring that our students are safe. Slide 5 is in regards to superintendent qualities, and the number 1 quality that we heard was integrity. Integrity and ethical leadership received the strongest consensus, with more than 95% rating it highly important or very important, for an average of 4.8 out of 5. The community is clearly signaling that honesty, ethics, and doing the right things are non-negotiable items. Moving on to slide 6, additional key qualities we found were high priority leadership qualities include strong communication skills, the ability to build trust, transparency and accountability, and a commitment to student achievement. Transparency and accountability were the single highest rated qualities, reinforcing how important open, honest leadership is to stakeholders. Slide 7 is the responses to the critical experience areas that the community would like to see of your next superintendent. The most valued experiences include a background as a teacher/administrator with rural small district experience, financial planning, and student safety crisis management experience. Stakeholders want someone who knows classrooms and schools firsthand and who can manage budgets and safety in a rural context. Moving on to slide 8, we looked at leadership approach priorities. The community values a leader who can make difficult decisions with transparency and who uses shared decision-making while still providing clear direction. They also want someone who can navigate political, fiscal, and community pressures and who relies on data-informed decision-making. Slide 9 and 10 cover what the desired characteristics are of your next superintendent. What we heard, these were all open-ended responses. They frequently mentioned integrity and trustworthiness, strong communication, and an approachable, visible presence in schools. In addition, collaborative leadership, someone that listens to teachers, staff, students, and community was another strong theme. Moving on to slide 10, continuing with desired characteristics, stakeholders want a decisive and courageous leader who is clearly student-centered in their decisions, and their relationship-driven, empathetic, and compassionate leadership that understands rural community needs was also emphasized. Moving on to experiences that matter, again, part of the open-ended questions. We've got part 1 and part 2 on slides 11 and 12. What we saw is the largest response was they would like recent classroom teaching experience within the last 10 years is strongly preferred to ensure the leader understands current realities. In addition, they'd like somebody with building level administrative experience and familiarity with rural communities and small district dynamics. These were each viewed as essential preparation for a successful superintendent. Slide 12 continues with those experiences that are expected. Financial management, including budget development and long-term planning, is a key expectation for the role. And stakeholders also highlighted special education knowledge, crisis management, and instructional leadership as critical competencies. We then asked the stakeholders to identify what would success look like after 3 years. And that's covered in slides 13 and 14. The community expects improved staff retention with teachers staying longer and morale improving. They also want measurable academic growth and financial stability with balanced budgets and fewer crisis-driven cuts. Slide 14 continues with those responses. Additional indicators of success include positive school culture, stronger community trust, and a clear unified direction for the district. And finally, staff empowerment. Teachers feeling valued, supported, and involved in decisions was another key expectation. Slides 15 and 16 gather the community perspective in terms of providing advice to you as members of the Board of Trustees. Community members recommended prioritizing longevity and selecting someone committed to staying in Churchill County. And they urged the board to look beyond the resume to consider character, leadership style, and relationship building capacity, and to thoughtfully consider local candidates. Slide 16, stakeholders suggest verifying candidates' past performance by speaking with previous employers and staff. And they emphasize the importance of recent classroom experiences, setting politics aside, and being open to fresh perspectives that can drive improvement. Slide 17 is critical community concerns. What we heard is the major concerns include staff retention, student safety and behavior, especially around bullying and discipline, financial constraints, and underperformance in ELA and math. These concerns frame the context in which the new superintendent will be expected to leave and improve outcomes for your stakeholders. In terms of areas of strong consensus on slide 18, there is clear agreement that integrity is a non-negotiable and the classroom experience is essential for credibility. In addition, improved communication and an understanding of rural, small-town context are also areas of strong consensus. And then finally, for slide 19, key takeaways for the board. The desired leadership profile is an experienced educator with integrity, strong communication, and a deep understanding of rural communities. Prior focus areas are staff retention, student achievement, financial stability, and school safety. with selection criteria emphasizing character, track record, and genuine community support. And then finally, slide 20 is just that thank you. We really appreciate the feedback from the community, and it helps us as a search team to weigh our individual interviews with the candidates to ensure we bring you a pool of candidates that meet your and the community's expectations. And as Keith said, we'll have those completed here shortly and look forward to presenting to you a pool of candidates that meet both your and the community's expectations. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions on the survey?
Thank you, Keith. This is Catherine. I did have a question about on the advice to the board when they say leave politics aside. What exactly do they mean they're considering we're nonpartisan
So
and try
this is,
really hard to remain so?
yeah, Dr. Jensen, for the record, there was no clear examples in that. This just is the summation of those comments, and there was enough that spiked that being not political in nature came up to the top, but there were no examples that I can reference for you.
Okay. Thanks, but no thanks.
Just keep being nonpartisan.
I do appreciate the survey, and that the critical community concerns very much mirror what the board has conveyed as being concerns as well. So I'm grateful for that, and the importance of integrity, certainly. So thank you for sharing and doing it. I'm glad the board invested in this.
Yes, I don't think there was any surprises to us as well, our conversations with you all. So the only other things, and maybe I shouldn't say only other things, because one of them may be a major thing, trying to find a date and time that works for all of us. But I do want to confirm that March 3rd still works for the board for the special meeting to present the
So
slate.
Keith, let me go on to, that's the next discussion item. So let me go ahead and read it for the record real quick.
Yep, thank
Discussion
you.
and possible action, schedule a special board meeting to review and select applicants for an interview for the superintendent position. There you go. Now he's talking March 3rd.
Perfect. So I just need to confirm that that still works and what time you would like to start. And then I guess we probably, I'll let President Malkovich run if you need a motion or not.
March 3rd still work for everybody?
Could I request 5?
What time?
At 6. At 5 on the 3rd. If there's any way we can
Okay.
save it.
Did you say that you have another meeting at 6?
Mm-hmm.
Is 1 hour sufficient or 45 minutes? Because she'll have to.
How long do you anticipate this taking?
I don't anticipate, I mean, we'll have it, you'll have the packet prior and we'll have all the information for you. So you will come to the meeting having had an opportunity to really look through that. So I don't know that it will take that long. Obviously, there may be discussion whether you want to interview all 5 that we present, but again, I don't think it'll be that long.
You know, you guys, can we all be there at 5 or want to push that? See if we can make it? How far away is your meeting number? Okay, so you're not driving somewhere. Okay, so I guess if everybody want to go with that then? We don't even need a motion for that, do we? Okay, so March 3rd at 5 o'clock. You got that, Karina? Okay, so then we'll go on to, does that 5 o'clock work for you guys? I guess I should ask.
Yes. Yep,
Okay.
We'll be there.
Okay, this next one's probably going to be a little harder. For discussion and possible action, determine interview dates and times for the selected candidates for the position of superintendent. And I think we all received the spreadsheet that none of us quite match up.
We would like to offer March 24th as a possible date as well, if that might work for all of you. Would probably entail, I think there are some of you that are maybe only available in the evening, and at least one of you that is just afternoon, evening, but it probably would entail at least a midday start if we were to do it all in one day.
We have a policy meeting. We have policy meeting that we would have to move for that day. Right, we can move that, but that is a conflict that we need to.
I'm good on the 24th.
I'm available.
I'm great on the 24th. Yeah, you.
So Daryl, do we have a ground rules meeting? Negotiations.
Which is the 26th?
Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong month.
Yeah, those,
You can, Celeste? So the 26th also now works, if that works better for you guys.
I'm gonna let Dave weigh in on that.
I can make either the 24th or 26th work. My wife has me scheduled to attend El Devo in Sacramento on the 25th. And I might be sleeping on a couch if I renege on that.
If you're gonna be in Sacramento, you're almost as close as you are from Winnemucca to Fallon. Just opposite side.
I can either hit it on the way there or on the way back, either one. So 24th or 26th would work.
How long do we anticipate this one taking?
If we interview 5, I would say we would want to plan for probably an hour with about a 10-minute break between. I think when you did it previously, your interviews were 40 minutes. We'll talk a little bit process on the next agenda item, but I would say an hour is probably good.
So we're going to need at least 6 hours minimum.
To what date do we want to shoot for, and what time do we want to?
And we're gonna do them all in one day? All 5 or 6, you say?
5,
right? That's what.
That is the recommendation.
I would prefer the 26th.
Can you make that work, Celeste? Everybody makes the 26th. What time are we starting? That would be the.
A little later than midday, I don't want to be here until midnight.
You don't want to be there same time as tonight? That we're here?
It'd be nice
Are you?
if possible with everyone's schedules to start at least by lunchtime. Because if we're gonna have hours.
Start any time, any day, any of those days, so. You working people that we have to worry about.
I mean, I'll have to take the day off work, but it is, or like, half day.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take an afternoon.
Yeah, so it's,
Do you want to
I
shoot
would prefer 1.
1 o'clock?
yeah.
1 o'clock work for everybody?
I mean, that puts us at.
Does that work for you guys? 1 o'clock start
Yep.
on the 26th, right? Got it.
26th at 1 o'clock.
All right, so we can move on to the next one. For discussion, possible action, determine the interview process and the format to be used for selected position of superintendent. Lewis.
So I know you've had some changeover for the board, and I sent some communication today just noting that in the prior superintendent search, when you hired Daryl, you actually did it as a 2-part. You had 9 candidates came in for an original interview. Then the board selected 4 to come back for a finalist interview. And at the same time, you did an in-district day where they had met with stakeholders. So I want to bring that to you and then see what the board's preference is. I think in our discussion, we had looked at this as interviews with the possibility that you would select a candidate after those interviews on the 26th. We would build in to the schedule to bring the candidates in early so that they would have the opportunity to have a tour of Churchill County School District facilities and be able to meet with staff if you want to, but those would occur prior to their interview time. So we would just work with district staff on the 26th to also facilitate those tours for the candidates so they come to the interview having had the opportunity to see the district.
Do you guys think we can narrow 5 to 1 in one day? It'll be 5, and then if we don't do a second day, we would be doing it on the 26th. Last time we did, like he said, we did the 9, and then we went down to the 4 for the... I'm confident we can get to 1. Are we good with that? We'll give it a try. We'll try to go from 5 to 1.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, always keep open that at the end of the night, if you're, as a board, you've got 2 candidates and you want to hear them again, you can always do that. You know, you have that ability to be able to do that. Hopefully, one candidate stands out and you feel comfortable as a board in that selection, but we always maintain some flexibility. We would just have to proper notice any additional interviews and then take into consideration the possibility if they were an out-of-area candidate, bringing them back or providing them a Zoom opportunity if you so chose.
Thank you. Everybody still feels pretty good about that? And the district will provide lunch for us that day before the interviews.
Okay.
Harold's going to spend the money that isn't his anymore. Okay, so I think we are good. Anything else for us?
Nope, anything for us.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 16, additional new business. For discussion and possible action, the board will discuss establishing a book study focusing on governance and important improvement for all members of the board. Joe McFadden.
Alrighty, I'm assuming you guys all reviewed the books that I randomly gathered. Not an inclusive list. I'm open to other books and ideas. Just kind of wanted to have a conversation to see if the board has an appetite for a program like this. My main goals would be for all trustees to participate and discuss and focus on student outcomes. We have a choice or both, to focus on student outcomes or governance. I think that would narrow down which pathway we go. And to keep discussions at a governance level and not dive into operational problem solving. So if there is appetite, us as a board or I could create a framework for each meeting. We could establish a time for each meeting, set aside, 20, 30 minutes for whatever. And we could take it slow. We could do a chapter a meeting. We could bite off more. We could read the whole book and discuss what we want over a longer session. So I'm open for discussion by the board, which way they want to go.
I did mention to Joe that possibly we should wait till the new superintendent's on board, that we're all on the same page. It could work either way. Anybody that's going to be the superintendent hopefully is watching our meetings if we're online, I guess, paying attention. I went through all the books and I left the paper at home. I would like to say we want one of the newer books. I know one of them is fairly new. Some of them are a little more dated.
It has changed. I think this whole education format's a little different now than it was. I probably left that list at home at every one of their dates and
So for me, I do not feel like at this time I can commit to reading a book. So that's kind of where I'm at. I also did print off my trainings that I've been to, and I had 10.5 hours of training since I've been on the board. And I am scheduled to go to NASB conference in April, where I'm sure there will be additional governance opportunities of classes for me to take. So for myself at this time, I would rather commit to you guys that I will take another class in governance than read a book, because I just don't feel like I can fit that into my schedule at this time.
I know there's a lot of good information out there, but as far as like of keeping current, feel as though we do get the most current information from some of those conferences and trainings that board members, and I feel as though this group is very active with, you know, their continuing education. I mean, we all participate very regularly in that, and then of course we have, you know, the NRS requirements on continuing education. And while I'm not, you know, opposed to learning and expanding my knowledge and reading books and things like that, I feel like some of the most sort of cutting edge ideas and things are those that are presented during those conferences. And so I'm not sure how I feel about formalizing sort of a book club for board members. I do appreciate the information and the titles of these books, but I think that board members should do that at their leisure and as their time is available to do so.
anybody else have an opinion on this, or which direction we want to go? Yes.
It's been conveyed that training is really important. What we've been missing is the ability to train together. We go to trainings, but then we don't have discussions or have the ability to have discussions as a board, as a whole, on how to improve. And to be fair, we are far more functional than a lot of boards, but even functional boards need to be able to check themselves. We have the self-evaluation. And so that's why I like this idea. I didn't look. It would be great if we knew if these were audiobooks. Are any of them audiobooks? Yes, all of them are?
A good portion of them are.
Okay. So, yeah, so I mean that helps, may not solve completely. I will tell you the last book is written by someone who I have attended. Oh, and what did I just do? Trainings by him, and I do not recommend him. So, if I get told former board members who wrote that, they would concur. But then improving school board effectiveness, a balanced governance approach, which is edited by Thomas Alsbury and Phil Gore. Both of them have trained us at NASB meetings, and Alsbury has been hired as a consultant by 3 districts in this state. to guide them through governance training. So that's been, and has come recommended by all three. I've spoken with all three districts who have used him, and they refer to the work and philosophies that he shared with them, which I thought were helpful. So, and I've read the top one, so if we were to do it, which I think we need to seriously consider, how are we working together as a board, as a team, instead of just separately learning things, but never being able to congeal with that, is something that we really need to consider. A consideration with that is, I agree that during the superintendent search may not be the best time, but it certainly could be something that we consider that we should do with the new superintendent, so that we can have those discussions about expectations as a governance team, so that new superintendent understands us and that we can understand that superintendent.
Any other great thoughts at this time of night?
I just want to bring up one thing. Following the national conference, I had requested the board retreat so that we could share from the different breakout sessions, since recognizing that we're not all attending the same ones. And I feel as though that is a helpful thing to continue when there are conferences and things like that, and even sometimes when there are board members who may not be able to attend, that, if we're having regular retreats to review information that was presented and learned during those training sessions, that's also an avenue for us to sort of train together. And if we further develop that process, that retreat process, where we're essentially looking at, maybe even developing like plans or action plans, or, things that come out of that we want to explore further, that's also another avenue for us to sort of train together by sharing what we learn at those conferences.
I just want to say that I agree with that. And I kind of thought the same thing during all this conversation, that our retreat that we had after our last conference, I thought went really well when we shared all of the things.
I don't disagree that being able to share all of the different things we've learned is helpful and important. But the purpose of this is that we're all reading the same thing, so that we can have very pointed and clear discussions about how we see our governance model. As I mentioned before, other districts are paying for the consultants to come in. I see this as a way that we're being mindful of budget, and this is a way that we can get some of that without spending the money for consultant to come in, which really should be happening, and it's not. So again, appreciate, and we should continue that we learn different things, but the point is we need to make sure we're all on the same page about what good governance looks like.
I appreciate the discussion and all the good viewpoints. Everyone has said good things. I appreciate that, and that was the force of this, is forcing discussion. So kind of from what I'm hearing, the temperature of the board is to table this until after the superintendent search is completed, and maybe readdress it then.
That's the direction I would go. We'll bring it back with all of us doing a little bit more research, such as, is it audible? But I think that, let's just table it for now, bring it back in March or April. Okay, everybody good with that? Okay, perfect. So let's go on to, that's where we're at. B, for discussion and possible action, approval of employment contract for Austin Metz Transportation Supervisor, Harold Parsons, Superintendent.
All right, thank you, trustees. If you haven't met him, Austin, would you please come to the table? I can introduce you to Austin Metz. You may have seen Austin for a while. At one point, I saw a picture of Austin when he was probably about this tall. You know, he was pretty young, and he was on a school bus in the front seat, playing on the steering wheel, and it was a Churchill County school bus, as a matter of fact. His grandmother's been a bus driver for a very long time, of Austin, and he's been here within the transportation department workforce off and on for a while. Also applied for transportation supervisor, and we interviewed him and felt that he has the qualities and things and to be the transportation supervisor. We've discussed the goals and things that we have for the transportation department, the importance of supporting our students, our families, and our drivers, our staff, and developing and getting our students to school in a safe manner. So it is my pleasure to recommend Austin to be the transportation supervisor. The choice of the committee was all unanimous in coming out of that, and I'd have Austin just take a moment and tell us just a little bit about himself. Take just a minute or two to Austin, a little bit about you and what you think is important in this position.
Austin Metz for the record. A little bit about me. I have been a third-generation school bus driver in the Churchill County School District. The transportation department quite literally raised me from the time I was a few weeks old up until I got my own driver's license and started driving myself to school. I have a little bit of a unique background in Fallon in having worked for the Walt Disney Company for a number of years, where I did function as a trainer and what we called a working lead, which is an equivalent to a shift manager in most lines of business. And with that, there was a heavy focus on safety as well as balancing courtesy, efficiency, but never losing sight of that safety number one key. And those are things that I carry with me to this day. I carried as a bus driver and would carry into this new role. I do believe the number one things we need to work on are definitely reestablishing the communication and faith from our community and our stakeholders. Ever since COVID or perhaps before, I do believe there's been a lot of strain due to staffing shortages and difficulty getting everybody on a bus, and those are things I seek to repair and work on. I look forward to being able to work with our HR department on recruiting, as well as working with our current staff and drivers and trainer on retention programs and seeing how we can better the department for not only our stakeholders, but for our staff, and see what would make it a better place, what would be able to attract other potential drivers so that we can continue to transport our future into the future.
All right, thank you. One other really good thing about Austin, too, is that he has a working knowledge, so he can hit the ground running with some of the things he needs. He's very familiar with the systems and things that we use in transportation, and he has had a lot of experience helping us with the routes and getting things going there as well. If the board approves this and approves the contract that we have in board book for him, tomorrow will be his first day, and a good way to start on a 2-hour snow delay day. And the reason for the delay is the safety. The roads were pretty slick, so we want everything to be safe. And just so you know, Lyon County is going with a 2-hour delay as well, so we're not alone. Everyone around us is being hit, so where we're at. So that I just want to thank Austin for his willingness to do this. I know he has the knowledge and the drive and the passion for what he wants to see happen here. And I'm very glad to recommend him and to have offered him the job to be our transportation supervisor. Are there any questions the board has for me or for Austin? The contract is in board book, the terms are there, that we negotiated through. I'd to answer any questions that you might have.
There's a question about the contract, and was Charlotte able to read through that contract?
Yes.
You're confident with the contract?
Yes.
I do have a question on the contract. It's not on Austin, but I always ask this question. What's the difference between a personal day and a vacation day?
That's a good question. A personal day, if you don't take it, you lose it. And an annual leave day, vacation day, if you don't take it and they build up, we pay you for those. So I know we had talked about not doing those, but we decided to leave some personal days in there for, and that's in line with, so really the usage is the same, the differences in how they're used, or how they term out at the end of the contract term. So we leave in there, we have 10 annual leave days, because Austin is new and new in this position, so we have 10 annual leave days and 4 personal days, which is the typical for what a 260-day employee has in the district. So he'll have 14 days that he will have available to him contract.
Would a motion have to include the personnel action list pulled as well, or is that going to be a separate motion?
Guessing since we approve employment contract, he's approved.
I think if you include the employment contract, we had put it there because we're looking a different way, but in the past we've done it so if you approve the employment contract, then it's approved and you don't have to go back to the personnel action.
Then I make a motion to approve the employment contract for Austin Metz as the transportation supervisor.
I have a motion from trustee McFadden, a second from trustee Blakey. Is there any public comment? Hearing of Austin Metz. Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do to bring this transportation department into the future, and I look forward to working with our board to make sure that my goals align with those of the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, 17, discussion and possible action regarding future agenda items as requested by the Board of Trustees and clarification of requested agenda items. Trustee McFadden. Do you have any BMARs?
I don't. Catherine's going to.
Review of policy 4138.
Have that on mine too, so.
Yeah. My hope is that we will just bring that forward for review in our next policy committee, which is still on March 24th.
Thank you. Okay. Get him. Trustee Blakey, trustee Grogach. Blake. Trustee Bullock. And I don't have any now. Cross mine off. Okay, agenda setting, Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026 at 4 p.m. with trustee Ghetto. You good with that still, Joe? You good? Okay, so we got that one going. So public comment. Members of the public who speak or ask to state their name for the record will be limited to a uniform number of minutes. Board members may respond briefly to public comment but cannot deliberate on matters that are not listed on the agenda. Any public comment?
Public?
There is a 4-minute limit. All right, with that, we are adjourned.